I'm Grace.
So let's get started.
I'm a recipe blogger, family-taught home chef,
Cheers.
Cheers.
iPhone-only photographer, and proud New Englander.
It's hard to believe that there's only a handful of ingredients in this soup, and it's hard to believe it's healthy too. This black bean soup could not be easier to make, and honestly, it is one of my favorite soups ever. It's so good right when you make it. It's so good the next day. It's so good a few days later because you get tons of leftovers from this. Starting with our black beans. You're gonna be using a lot of black beans. This is 5 cans that I just drained and rinsed, set aside. I also have some petite diced tomatoes. Petite diced just means small diced. And you don't need to take them out of the can and put it into a bowl. You can just leave them in the cans, but I'm trying to make it look a little pretty. And then I just have some low sodium chicken broth. And then the secret ingredient to this black bean soup is chipotle powder. And this spice is so smoky, and some people say it's mildly spicy, but I actually think it's pretty moderately spicy. So if you don't like spicy things, you can either toggle back on the amount of chipotle powder, or you can use something like a smoked paprika, which isn't spicy, but just smoky. And then all you need to do is prep a few veggies. I'm gonna mince some garlic, chop a sweet onion, actually 2, and I'm gonna chop some carrots. And that's it. Let's do this. Next step is try not to cry. I hate cutting onions. I can't do this. I need a moment. I think it's tissue time for my eyes and carrot time. I survived the onion cutting. It's time to take all of this to the stove and basically throw it in a pot and let it cook. So I have a big pot here. It needs to fit all of your soup. I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil right into my pot, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan lightly. And then I'm gonna try my best to get all of this, the garlic, the onion, and the carrots right into my pot without spilling any. Okay, so now it's time to saute. I'm just going to saute all my ingredients here for about 4 to 5 minutes, just until they start to cook through and the onions don't look so raw anymore. Take a look, folks. That's what you want. Perfect. Now it's time to add in our black beans. Getting the muscles out here. And then I'm gonna add my diced tomatoes. And then you wanna finish off with your chicken stock. And this is about 2 cups of chicken stock. You can add more if you end up thinking that your soup is a little too thick, but I like to start with 2. I'm gonna give this a mix, and then I'm gonna grab my blender. This looks like a very scary dental tool, but I promise you it's not. This is an immersion blender. This is what I like to use for this soup. If you want your black bean soup to be smooth, pop everything in a blender. If you want it to be kind of medium smooth, there's a little bit of chunk left in it, but it's also kind of creamy, use an immersion blender. You can get these for like $15. Or if you want it really coarse, you can either leave it as it is, let it cook down a little bit, or you can use a potato masher. So I'm gonna use my immersion blender. I'm gonna take this spoon out, and I'm actually gonna leave my heat on medium. You can take it off the heat if you want. And I'm just going to stick my immersion blender all the way down to the bottom of your pan. You just don't want things to fly. And you just wanna kind of pulse your immersion blender. And it's going to start making your soup nice and creamy, but it's gonna leave some chunks in there, and I'll show you how much I like to do. So we're getting pretty close here. you kind of raise your immersion blender up, you can see the thickness. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Okay, this is what I like. Right here, you still have something in your mouth. It's not just like completely smooth and pureed, but it's still really creamy. So I'm gonna take my immersion blender out, and now all you have to do is add your seasoning. And I'm gonna go get a paper towel so I don't have to put this on the counter. Time to add the chipotle powder. And then if you want any salt in there, I don't like a ton because I already get some salt from the chicken broth. And then I'm just going to stir that powder right into my soup. The final step is to just cover your soup, and you're gonna let it simmer over medium-low heat just until it's heated through. You can also keep it on a low heat and keep it going until you're ready to serve it. Isn't she lovely? Do you like my voice?
Yes.
Good answer. So now time for toppings. You can do a lot of things. You can just eat it as is, or you can add just a little bit of scallions on top. You can do some sour cream. You can do a little bit of cheddar cheese. And of course, chips. You need chips for this. You can even make homemade ones. I have that recipe on my blog. Let's dig in. Chip or spoon? I don't know. I think I'm gonna do chip. Why not? The amount of flavor in this soup with such few ingredients is insane. Smoky, a little sweet from the onion and the carrot. It's creamy, but not too creamy. Check this out on tastefullygrace.com. You won't regret it. What would happen if I ate all of these beans right now?
Complete explosion.
Should I try?
No.